So you're trying to get into Marvel Comics, but you have no idea where to start. Where I got you. This is the video for you. Today I am going to break down the top 10 best Marvel Comics for new readers. So, let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Geek City. I wanted to mention the reason I did this video is because I did a top 10 omnibuses for new readers, where I broke down the best omnibuses for someone who wants to get into the collecting game. And that video did really well. It's one of my most popular videos, and I feel like I could do this for Marvel and DC, where I look at trade paperbacks and hardcovers. So not omnibuses, but in case you don't know what a trade paperback or hardcover is, if you're really new, trade paperback is something like this. It usually just collects a couple of issues, and then a hardcover is the same thing, but, you know, a hardcover. So, if you want to get into trade paperbacks and hardcovers, but you don't know which Marvel stories collect, this is the story for you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will do a DC one if this video does well. So, if you want to see one where I break down the top 10 best best DC books for new readers, make sure to show this video some love. Make sure to like, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 800 subscribers, and we're really close to be able to like monetize and make money, which would really help me expand the channel, and I really want to be able to make even better videos. So if you want to see that happen, make sure to consider subscribing, but you don't have to. It's your choice, obviously. But let's not waste any more time and get straight into this. I also want to mention this is in no particular order. I'm not going to be ranking these. So, the first book I want to talk about is Infinity Gauntlet. This was actually one of the first Marvel trade paperbacks that I ever got whenever I first started really getting to the game. I wanted to start off with a book that was simple and was kind of similar to a movie, just to kind of help get me into that. Because I collected single issues, but this was one of my first, really getting into the trade paperback game. And I think this is a great book to start. If you want to see a big team up book, this is one that I suggest for you. Most people have heard of Infinity War, and most people have seen the movie, so I think this is the best way to start, because it's getting into the world, but it's with something that you're familiar of, because obviously most people know the story of Thanos from seeing the movies about, him trying to collect all the Infinity Stones. So that's what this story does, but it is very different. So that's why I think this is one of the best books for new readers, is because you're seeing a familiar story like the movies, but told differently. Different characters, and the timeline of things, when he snaps, when he gets the stones and all that, it is different. But it gives you a great variety of characters. There are, so many characters in here, even more than the movie. And you get to see all of Thanos' family, his brother. You get to see who he's doing this for. His motivation is totally different. He's really dedicated to trying to get a girl. I'm literally not even joking. That's kind of the plot of this book. But it is an epic story. You have Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch, and then you have, of course, like characters like Iron Man and Spider-Man. It's an epic story written by Jim Starlin, and that's why I think this book is so great. And one of the best places to start. I mean, look at all those characters. So yeah, this, the movie roughly adapts this, and that's why I think this is a great place to start. It's a familiar enough story for people who have seen the movies, but there are changes, and you do have beautiful colors and great artwork. And I mean, who doesn't want to start off with a great event where you get introduced to a ton of characters? Next up, I've been in a huge Daredevil mood, and so I decided to go with Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. I think this is the best story to start out reading the character of Daredevil. Daredevil's one of my favorites. I'm really digging Born Again so far. I love the show so far. Daredevil, the original TV show, is one of my favorites, and this comic is definitely my favorite Daredevil story. And make sure to stay tuned for my Daredevil reading order, which is in the works. This is written by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. And basically this was originally going to be a screenplay that Frank Miller wrote about it was making a Daredevil movie, but that got scrapped, so they just had him turn it into a comic. And so yeah, this feels like an epic movie, where it basically retells the story of Daredevil's origin, but modernizes it. So if you want to know, his origin, but don't want to read those Golden Age books, this is definitely up your level, what I would suggest. With great artwork from John Romita Jr., going through his whole, Matt Murdock's whole life, but in a modern movie style. It's very much paced like a movie. You get to learn about his father, battling Jack Murdock, what happened there, but you learn about him being trained after he's blinded by Stick. You learn about Elektra and how this kind of retconned Elektra into his past, since Frank Miller kind of made Elektra up in his original run, and this is kind of putting Elektra into, the original timeline. You of course get Kingpin in here, and again, I do love this artwork by John Romita Jr. Very stylized. You can obviously tell this is something that John Romita Jr. would do. And of course, Frank Miller is a great writer. Sometimes he can make some bad decisions, but he is a great writer. And this is an example of that. Easily my favorite Daredevil story, especially as someone who loves origin stories. This is why I think this is a great book to start off reading. If you want to, learn about this character, it's a great character study. You learn his origin story. You see him getting the black suit, which eventually was adapted in the TV show. And then, of course, he does don the red suit. And then there's Kingpin in here. This version of Kingpin is scary, dude, with the John Romita Jr. artwork. Here's the original screenplay. So yeah, great book. Next up, where should you start reading if you want to read the character of Thor? I at first considered putting Jason Aaron's run, but I realized I didn't own it, and it's I don't know. I don't think it's the easiest to get into, so that's why I'm going with Walter Simonson's run. Want to see the introduction to one of Thor's most iconic side characters, so this is the book for you. I think I'm not a huge Thor fan, like I don't own a ton of Thor comic books or anything. But I did really enjoy this one, because, I saw it at a comic shop. It was on discount. It's an old trade paperback. I was like, hey, I have heard great things about this run. I want to be familiar with every character, and, that I collect, and this is one. This is one of the most praised Thor runs, and this is Walter Simonson's run. So this has the introduction of Beta Ray Bill. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. But it is a really epic story. I think Walter Simonson really made this feel. Ignore the cut, sorry, but Walter Simonson again really understood this character, and he does do the art as well. So he does both writing and the art. So yeah, it's an epic story, and I think it's a great jumping on point. So there you go. The next book is for the character of Iron Man. There were a lot of Iron Man books I could have gone with, but again, I don't own a lot. And as I already mentioned, I'm a huge fan of origin stories, and this is the book I suggest reading. This is Iron Man Season 1. Again, I'm someone where I think it's very difficult to get into Golden Age and Silver Age, and I've never been one to recommend Golden Age and Silver Age books, because they're not the easiest to get into, very episodic. I usually don't buy the omnibuses unless it's for a character that I truly love, like Spider-Man, but I still want to read the origins, and of course I've read some of those classic issues on digital and stuff, but this is retelling the origin story of Iron Man in a modern take, and I really dug the story. There's these season 1 books that Marvel did, where they've done one for so many characters. Let me check if I can find it here. They've done one for Thor, the Avengers, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Hulk, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Spider-Man, Daredevil. They've done these season 1 books for a ton of characters, and I only own 2 of them, Iron Man and Fantastic Four, which Fantastic Four was really good, but I put another Fantastic Four book, which you'll see in a second. But, yeah, so they do, these season 1 books where they go through the origin of these characters. But I have read Ant-Man and Thor as well, and Doctor Strange. And they're good books. They retell the origin in a modern way. And this was easily my favorite. I really like this book. And the artwork here, or the painting pastel style, I really dig. But it's more violent. It's more raw. It's kind of like, the MCU version. But I don't know, it's more gory, it's more violent. It's, a lot more of a mature version. I forget the lead villain's name in here, but he's bald and he has this silver just look at that artwork. That's beautiful. Love that pastel coloring. Look at this. Just for the artwork alone, I think artwork can just really update a story a lot. But yeah, great origin. Let me find the villain here. I forget his name. Where is he? Oh well. Anyway, great book. So this is one I suggest, and it really surprised me. I didn't know how good this book was gonna be, and yeah. Next one, for everyone's favorite mutants, X-Men. What book did I choose? There are obviously so many great ones, but I went with Astonishing X-Men. Now, there is an omnibus, but again, I'm not talking about omnibuses on this list, and it's out of print. So they just released a modern epic collection for Volume 1, and this is written by Joss Whedon. Although Joss Whedon sucks in real life, he's kind of not a nice fella. That boy can write, and he has made so many great films like Toy Story and Avengers for the screenplay, but he can also write comics. This is one of my favorite runs on X-Men, if not my favorite, and this is Volume 1. you know, a lot thinner compared to most Epic collections. But the story in here is incredible and has incredible artwork by John Cassidy, who did he just pass away, or am I going crazy? I'm pretty sure I saw that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But this tells a story after the new X-Men run by Grant Morrison. So following up one of the most iconic runs, this features Kitty Pryde, as you can see here. The team is now consisting of Cyclops, Emma Stone, Wolverine, and Kitty Pryde. And one more person that will join later on in this book. I don't want to spoil because they were dead. But again, I do love this artwork here. It is great. But I think just the dialogue here is really snappy. Like, it just feels real. Like, it's great screenplay. You have the Gentech laboratory here with the cure. So you have the story of a cure going on. You also have the Cerebro becoming a villain. Yeah, like Cerebro, the thing that Professor X uses. Yeah, it becomes a villain. The computer becomes a villain. And I'm going to try to skip through here. I don't want to spoil that one character that returns. But I'm probably going to accidentally spoil it anyway. It's fine. But yes, a major character that had been dead at the time does return. And of course, great artwork. Great artwork. And there is the Cerebro character right there. And I believe they're making volume 2 or something. I saw something about it. I think it's coming out pretty soon. Fantastic book. Next up, I considered putting other Wolverine books, but I feel like I had to go with this one just because this is easily the most iconic. And this is the Chris Claremont and Frank Miller Wolverine miniseries. I do own this first issue graded with like an 8.5 CGC. So this is the deluxe edition. So this collects the 4-issue miniseries, and it also has Uncanny X-Men 172, 172, and 173. I think this, I consider putting Weapon X, but I don't own it, so I can't. One of the most iconic covers to a comic book, one of the most iconic miniseries, and kind of put Wolverine on the map. The movie, The Wolverine, roughly adapted the story of him going to Japan, so he kind of left the X-Men at the time, because the X-Men were like their identity, like everybody thought they were dead. So Wolverine goes on a solo mission here. And this Frank Miller artwork where, Frank Miller doesn't really do art anymore, and it's not great whenever he does, but at the time, he did like groundbreaking artwork. Just the way he drew fights was, nobody else was doing it like this, with these big just white, and the way he did his panels and everything was so good. So this is an iconic story. Not my personal favorite, but I feel like it's very important for everybody to read this. And you are getting some fantastic artwork. And then you also get the X-Men issues in here. Now, of course, Wolverine will eventually rejoin the team, but at this point, he was in Japan. So yeah, Wolverine. First, Spider-Man. I mean, there are so many to go with. So many great stories, but I had to go with one of my favorites, and that is Kraven's Last Hunt. Another epic collection here. This is the Kraven's Last Hunt epic collection. And of course, I could have just chosen the Kraven's Last Hunt, like, trade paperback. But there's a reason I specifically chose the epic collection here, because I think this is one of the most important eras of Spider-Man. And this is also one of the most dark Spider-Man stories. But basically, this really made Kraven one of the best Spider-Man villains, this story right here. But before we talk about that, we got to talk about the marriage. Yes. Peter finally proposes to MJ, and they get married. That is collected in here. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? Is it after? No? Where is it? Anyway. It's in here. Just know Peter and MJ get married. You also have a story with Hobgoblin in here, which is cool. But basically, Peter and MJ are married. Things are great. Things are really happy, right? But then you get Kraven showing up, and here's him proposing, and I don't want to spoil what happens. Oh, here's the marriage issue. Let me find it. Lord, hold on. I think it was a double issue. I'm pretty sure. Where? I'm trying to find this. All right, here it is. Yeah, issue 21 of the annual. But anyway, so they're happy, right? They're married. Everything's great. And then Kraven Last Hunt happens. And I don't want to spoil. I don't want to talk too much about this book. But just know, this is one of, if not the best Spider-Man story of all time. where basically something really bad happens to Spider-Man, and Kraven kind of wins. Get the character Morlock in here. There's MJ. But of course, Spider-Man comes back and defeats Kraven. Now, what happens after that? Oh, there's the stuff at the chapel, the church. Now, what happens after that with Kraven? I don't want to say. It's up for you to figure out. Let me not accidentally flip on the page. But something happens. But yeah, that's Kraven's Last Hunt. Fantastic story, and this whole epic collection is just one of the best eras of Spider-Man. This was such a great era. Because John Mazzolini, I believe his name, John Mazzolini. Gosh, what's his name? But anyway, yeah, great story. For Fantastic Four, again, so many ones I could go with. I chose to go with Imaginauts here. This is the Mark Waid run. Finally reprinting that omnibus, and I believe they're reprinting this volume too. This is the older printing. But Mark Waid is one of my favorite writers, and this is one of my favorite stories that he did. I loved this book. Fantastic Four are such great characters, and I feel like they don't get discussed as much as they should. And I love how this book is really commenting how, they're not in their prime anymore, but it's more lighthearted. I know Jonathan Hickman's run is a lot more serious. This is a more lighthearted run. Anybody can read this book. This is a book you can recommend to anybody of any age if they want to get into Fantastic Four. So it's a lot more lighthearted. Love the artwork in here by Michael Ringo, the late Michael Ringo. I love what they did with Human Torch in this book. And overall, just a really fun, cartoonish book. This is something that I would love to see in like an animated TV show for kids. This type of thing. I think if you were into like Spectacular Spider-Man, like the TV show, you'd like this book. But eventually, I do want to get that omnibus. I would love to own that. So yeah. For Captain America, the book I chose, again, considered going with the Winter Soldier, but I don't own it. So I had to go with Captain America White, my favorite Captain America story by powerhouse duo Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, who have made, so many stories. Long Halloween, Dark Victory, Captain America White, Daredevil Yellow, Hulk Gray, Spider-Man Blue, Catwoman. They've done so much, and this is one of my favorite stories. Basically, all of these Marvel color books, all four of them, again, Daredevil Yellow, Hulk Gray, Spider-Man Blue, Captain America White, they're all about a certain Marvel character basically mourning over the loss of somebody. Spider-Man Blue's him mourning Gwen Stacy, Daredevil Yellow's Karen Page, Betsy Ross, and Hulk. This one's about Bucky. The other ones are about their love interests. This one's about Captain America mourning his partner, Bucky Barnes. And this artwork, obviously, by, Tim Sale is awesome, but these colors are beautiful too. So you have Captain America, narrating, but you also have kind of Bucky meeting Captain America for the first time and how they train over time and eventually becoming Bucky Barnes, his sidekick. You also see Captain America waking up from the ice and him kind of recovering. It's really sad, man. Seeing him waking up, 80 years later, finding out how Bucky has passed and everything. So look at this artwork. Look at these colors. It's gorgeous. So you have Cap and Bucky fighting. You get this story in here with Red Skull where they fight. And then you get to the conclusion here with Cap, and he's talking with Nick Fury and, realizing that Bucky's dead. Now, obviously, this takes place before Winter Soldier. This is when Captain America first wakes up and he thinks Bucky's gone forever. And it's such an emotional story, and I love all of these Marvel books, all four of the Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb ones. I love them so much, and this one personally is my favorite. This image right here with him destroying the statue but leaving Bucky's, man, it's so sad. But yeah, fantastic story. And for the last book I have in my top 10 best Marvel comics for new readers, I went with Civil War. Like I said with Infinity Gauntlet, if you want another great event, this is one I suggest for you. Where obviously it does help to read Marvel Comics just in general, but you don't need to read a lot to go into this. And it is, again, like Infinity Gauntlet, totally different from the movie. And that's why I think events like Civil War and Infinity Gauntlet are great to read for new readers since they've been adapted into a movie. It's a good starting on point to be like, hey, you like Civil War? Read the comic and see how different they are, And since, again, it's a Marvel comic and it's not a movie, there's so many more characters that are involved. And it is a totally different story. It's written by Mark Miller, and you get incredible artwork by Steve McNiven, who is such a fantastic artist. I mean, look at this artwork. So again, you get characters that aren't in the movie, like the Fantastic Four, Wolverine, Doctor Strange, Spider-Woman, She-Hulk, Cyclops. And it's a lot more brutal. And the tie-ins, I would love one day to get like a Civil War omnibus where it has, and they'd probably have to do 2 volumes because there was a stupid amount of time. I only own one, and that is the Amazing Spider-Man one. But this is an epic story where over time you see the Iron Man and Captain America, starting to become rivals, and well, not rivals, but disagreeing on this thing. And I don't want to reveal what it is. If you haven't read it, it is a totally different thing from the movie. Again, that's why I think these books are so great to read for non-comic book readers, because it's fun to see, oh, Spider-Man's actually on Cap's side. Well, at first he's on Iron Man's, and swap. And then you get the final fight in here. And yes, Thor is involved, and Hulk. Or is Hulk? I don't remember. I need to reread this. Haven't read it in 2 years. But look at this artwork. Cap is arrested, which does happen which leads into the Ed Brubaker story, which I'm not going to reveal the title of. Yes, those are my top 10 Marvel books for new readers. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comment section down below. Again, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you want to see a DC one, show this video some love. I would love to do a DC one where I do the top 10 best DC books for new readers. Hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, stay geeky.